How's it going, everybody? I don't mean to complain. When I agreed to do this, it was not explained to me that, yeah, we're going to have every musician get out here and do a We Are the World jam. It's going to be awesome. And then we're going to go, and now, the economist Bob. All right? That was not explained to me when I agreed to this. But, I only have about 18 minutes to tell you guys some stuff, so what do I want to tell you? Okay, stuff going on the East Coast, situation, the hurricane. You guys probably seen it with your friends. Hurricane Sandy, there are people who complain on Facebook, that's where I've been seeing it, about the gas lines and so forth in Jersey and New York and so forth. Why is that happening? And this, I don't mean to bore you, I know some of you know this, but some of you may not. And this actually is important, so that's why I'm telling it to you. Why is that happening? Why are people waiting in line to get gas? Why is it that the governor of New Jersey, who incidentally is Chris Christie, right, the real hardcore free market Republican guy that maybe in 2016 is going to be our man? No. Why is that guy instituting price controls like that other rabid Republican free market diehard Richard Nixon? Why are they doing that? What's the problem? That's what's causing these shortages. That's what's causing these lines, okay? So let me just very quickly walk you through this. I apologize, I realize you're like, okay, we just heard a bunch of music. Why is this guy telling us? Because you need to know this. The reason people are having such trouble in New York, in New Jersey, is not because of the hurricane. It's because of what the government is doing in response. And don't worry, this is going to be relevant to all of us in the future, so I'm coming to that, but I want to make sure I don't lose anybody, because I know there's different backgrounds and everyone might know all this, so be really quick. Okay, what does the market price do, right? So, generally speaking, the higher the price of something is, the less people want to buy, right? So you're talking about gasoline. If it's $3 a gallon, people buy a certain amount. If it's $4 a gallon, they buy less. If it's $5 a gallon, they buy even less, okay? If the price is going up, though, the suppliers want to supply more, right? If it's $3, suppliers bring a certain amount. If it's $4, they bring more. If it's $5 a gallon, they bring more. So the market price is the thing that, boom, equates those two. So that the amount sold equals the amount people want to buy. So there's no lines. That's what the market price does. So when the hurricane hits, now all of a sudden it's hard to bring in gasoline into that area. All right? They just can't get it in physically. And so what happens is the supply goes way to the left, or it gets reduced. And so in order to ration the available amount so everyone can get some, the price is supposed to go up. The market prices do work. They serve a social purpose, okay? And so Governor Christie, again, the stalwart Republican, and oh my gosh, that's the guy that could have beaten Obama, and we just love the free market GOP. He said, no, I don't want market prices to do their job because I'm going to put price controls in place. So that is why there are gas lines now in New York, and that's why on my Facebook feed, I see my friends who live in like Long Island saying things like, this is getting really ugly. I've never seen people like this. If someone tries to come and siphon gas out of my tank, I'm going to defend my property. All right, people that are normally mild-mannered, that you wouldn't expect to talk like that, are talking like that. So what's the lesson here? Number one, people who are thinking we're going to reform the GOP, I think that's perhaps not going to happen. Again, I don't mean to step on any toes up here. The other thing is, this is the relevance of this, is why I'm spending so much time on this topic. What's going to happen? So I think most people in here are not 100% on board with what Ben Bernanke has been doing. Am I fair in saying that? All right, I'm in the right crowd, right? Okay, so let's say 5 years from now, who knows what's going to happen? The dollar crashes and prices, want to go up 30%, and then whoever's in the White House, and it might even be President Christie, an Austin free market diehard, might say, oh, we're not going to allow price gouging because that would be unconscionable, blah, blah, blah. If they impose price controls across the country, you're going to see these lines. You're going to see all this panic, people getting pissed off at each other, fighting. And so you say, oh wow, and this is, I think it's hilarious to me. A lot of people that I know that agree with me, agree with my views, and they explain this by saying, oh, we just need to educate those politicians. The people in DC they just don't know about price control. No, that's not true. Of course they know. They have economists on their staff. This isn't some obscure right-wing Austrian nutjob theory. Everybody knows the reason there are gas lines right now is because of price controls, not because of the hurricane per se. All right, even like Matt Iglesias, if you guys know who that is, he in his blog has been saying, this is crazy, there's lines because of what Christie's doing, not because of the hurricane. All right, so why then would they do that? And my theory is because they like people to have social unrest. Because that gives them a pretext for doing all sorts of other stuff. All right, so let me now segue into this, 9/11 truth and all that stuff. I'm not here to take a stand on that. I don't have a degree in engineering. Let me just say 19 guys with box cutters taking down 3 buildings and hitting the Pentagon seems implausible. But I'm not saying I know what happened, but the official story sounds odd to me. Also, if I may, you guys might want to use this as a throwaway line. The official story that says 19 guys got together and came up with this plot and then they kept it secret to take down, what that official story is a conspiracy theory. They're saying 19 guys conspired to take down. Anyway. You don't even need to attribute that. In fact, don't attribute that to me because it'll hurt my career. But okay, we're good. All right, so where am I going with this? I'm saying that if you buy into that, you say, well, why would the government do that kind of stuff? So again, I don't know what happened, but I know there's lots of people here who think it was an inside job, the government did that purpose. Other examples, false flag things like the recent deal with the guy who allegedly was trying to take out the Federal Reserve building and all that stuff. A lot of the people in this room, and I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but I know you guys think that what the government did was either entrap those people, like, goad them into doing it, or literally just lied about it, like that the government did it and then set somebody up and said, oh no, it wasn't us, it was some, right-wing militia dude or some Muslim guy. So why would they do that? And the answer is, right, just follow me with this, the answer is because the government wants to scare the crap out of the public in order to justify whatever martial law or whatever other things they want to do, right? So if you're the sort of person that, is a 9/11 truther, or just more generally speaking, you believe in false flags and stuff like that, you believe, and I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but I'm just appealing to you for this, you think that the government benefits, the real insiders, they benefit when the public thinks some outside group is attacking the government or is attacking the infrastructure or whatever, right? That your own worldview, you say that helps the government. So, what I'm saying is when this stuff gets bad, and it's gonna get bad, and I don't know when, all right? So to be honest, I thought it was gonna hit earlier. When Ben Bernanke was doing all his stuff in 2009, I was jumping up and down saying, holy crap, look at this. And it hasn't hit yet, so I don't know if it's because I'm nuts or because everyone else in the bond market is crazy and like, why aren't you guys shorting the dollar? It's not clear. So in other words, like in 2005, 2006, guys like Peter Schiff were saying, housing is way overvalued. This is nuts, this is gonna crash. And people were laughing in the States. If you haven't seen it, I know most of you have, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to YouTube and do Peter Schiff was right and just see the video. It's hilarious. People just literally, I'm not using a metaphor or a figure of speech, people literally on like CNBC are laughing at Peter Schiff's face in 2006 when his description of what is coming is almost eerie, like it gives you goosebumps how accurate he was. All right, so now Peter Schiff is saying, and I think he's right, that the US dollar is in a bubble and the US treasuries are in a bubble. So what does that mean? It means they're highly overvalued, they're gonna crash. So what does that mean for us? If the dollar were to crash, like let's say the dollar falls 60–70%, then everything we import is all of a sudden that much more expensive. So all the real cheap stuff at Walmart now is not so cheap anymore. Okay, so if that stuff all comes in, and they put in price controls, just like we see happening now in New York and New Jersey, and people are all pissed off, and there's, looting and stuff like that, there's gonna be a lot of people sympathetic to the views of people in here that are gonna start wanting to do something. I'm not just gonna sit here and take this. And so what I want to say, I want you guys to think about this before it happens, because listen to what I'm saying, and this might not be, a fun thing to, rah-rah thing to say, but this is serious. When they drop the hammer, when that starts to happen, they are gonna want people in the liberty movement, in the militia movement, the Ron Paul movement, to go do something violent. They are gonna love it if somebody goes and literally bombs a Federal Reserve building, right? Because again, think back to what I was saying 5 minutes ago, if they try to entrap people to do that, clearly that helps them. If they like to frame, if they like to do something themselves and then try to pin it on somebody, like Timothy McVeigh or whatever, if you don't think Timothy McVeigh did that, clearly that helps them, okay? So what I'm saying to you is, if you believe that, if you're the kind of person that thinks that, and I know there's a lot of people, and I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm not making fun of you, I'm saying, I'm appealing to you, when this stuff gets bad, and it's gonna, and I don't know when, but it's gonna get bad, be very careful about what you think the proper thing to do is, and don't necessarily think, oh, if I go out and...
You have a lot on your mind these days, and overlooking something is easy to do. Thankfully, with Chamberlain Timer to Close with MyQ technology, you can set your garage door to close automatically. So now, you can focus on what matters most.
Start using violence, that is going to really stick it to the man. That no, your own worldview tells you they love them. They want to. They have to go out of their way to make it look like we're doing crazy violent stuff. So if you actually do crazy violent stuff, they're not going to say, oh no. They're going to say, yes, this is exactly what we want, to drop the hammer. Okay, she's dropping the hammer on me. All right, so last. All right. I thought we were a bunch of anarchists in here. What the heck is this? Don't tread on my stage time. All right. Okay, let me say one more thing, and then I think I gotta introduce the next person. One last thing, again, since I'm being provocative. I am not at all belittling the Ron Paul movement. Really, I'm not. And I love everything they did, and I was totally into it. It was a very educational campaign, but I want to say something, because I think we need to realize this to make sure what we're doing in the future makes sense. There was no way they were going to let him become the president, okay? Look what they did in Florida. It was hilarious to me. All these people that are self-professed anarchists, thinking that the GOP manufactured evidence to invade a country and that they killed millions of people and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, and these guys didn't even follow their own rules, in Florida, right? So, of course, they're going to cheat. If you think that they're killers and thieves, they're willing to cheat on election rules, right? And then suppose you say, oh no, but if we had just campaigned harder, got more signatures, it would have been so blatant they couldn't have fixed, the nomination. Okay, and then 3 weeks out from the election, the news would have said, just in, Texas Congressman Ron Paul, the GOP nominee for president and leading the polls 20 points against President Barack Obama, died from a heart attack riding his bicycle. And they should have known better than to put up such an old name, right? And then they would have a guy from the National Institutes of Health come and say, it was a conspiracy theorist saying that he was killed, but clearly he was an old man. I looked at his heart myself. So, again, I'm not saying that what everyone did was a waste of time. It was great, it was educational, but just, if you take your own rhetoric seriously, they would not have let him become the president. So I don't even know what that means. I'm just saying, I think somebody should say that. All right, so, now that I got that out of my chest, I believe they've switched. I think Tatiana's coming up next. Do you know, good sir, who's setting up the music? This guy, okay, yeah, no. This is the average voter. No, not really. So anyway, let me tell you a little anecdote about Tatiana. So she went out with the karaoke thing last night, and she was doing print, like I was being a gentleman, right? I handed in the slips, so I think my song and then hers, and I thought I'd like name hers in first. And that was very stupid because that meant every song she would go first and then I would follow her, right? So it was very dumb. So she's up there doing Prince, you know, like, just want you next to town. She's, you know, shaking her head and everything, and it's awesome. And it's actually on YouTube right now, and she's going to tell the person to take it down. So if you want to see it, you got to go see it quickly before this event is over. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to, I believe, Tatiana, and whoever else is next. Thank you, everybody.